It is once again that beautiful time of year, football season. That means the typical preseason predictions from supposed football experts and supposed expert fans. Now, I should probably mention how I fared last year in terms of predictions. I made them on Reddit last year on r/urinating trait, and if you haven't heard of that YouTube channel before, check him out. I predicted an all LA Super Bowl in 2018, Chargers versus Rams. So I got one of those teams right, I guess. I predicted the Rams to win it all, but of course they ended up losing to the Patriots. Here were my divisional winner predictions. In the NFC, I had the Eagles, Packers, Saints, and Rams winning, with the wild cards being the Vikings and Giants. I, of course, was a delusional Giants fan here. I got 3 out of 6 playoff teams right, missing the Cowboys, Seahawks, and Bears. In the AFC, I predicted the Patriots, Steelers, Texans, and Chargers to win the divisions, with the wild cards being the Chiefs and Jags. So I got 4 out of 6 right here. A bit better. I missed the Ravens and Colts, though. So now it's time to predict 2019's playoff teams. There's going to be limited pictures here, so just sort of sit back, relax, and kind of just treat this as a podcast. Enjoy. So since I predicted 7 out of 12 playoff teams right last year, my goal is, of course, to predict 8 out of 12 now. So let's start with the AFC, and let's also start by getting the easiest prediction down on paper, which is the Patriots winning the AFC East. I mean, they have a pretty good track record of doing this, right? I know exactly what the Patriots are going to do this year. They do it every year. They start off kind of shaky. People wonder if they're done. They absolutely kill it in November and December, other than like one crappy game, and then they win the division. Now, there's still the usual Patriots skepticism before each season begins. Here's this year's edition. Tom Brady is turning 42, Gronk is retiring, your top pass rusher Trey Flowers is gone, your left tackle Trey Brown is gone, and of course Robert Kraft did some stupid stuff as well, which is a little distracting to say the least. It doesn't matter, you're winning the frickin' division this year. Now, I will say this. You won't be absolutely dominant this year, kind of like how things were last year. Tom Brady will look like a 42-year-old in some games, but ultimately having a well-coached team with Belichick at the helm really helps, and every other team in the division having really young quarterbacks, all from the 2018 draft class actually. That helps too. So I predict New England to have the number 2 seed with a 12-4 record. Now let's head over to the AFC North, where I predict the Steelers to rebound and win the division. Pittsburgh got off to a hot start last year, but constant distractions caused by the disappearance of Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown being an idiot didn't really help them later on. The roller coaster season ended badly. And yes, Bell and Brown were great talents, but honestly without them the Steelers can be focused. James Conner will fill in just fine for Bell, and the Steelers have a great history of drafting and developing wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster will already be ready to take the reins from Antonio Brown. And quarterback Ben Roethlisberger had a great year in 2018, throwing for over 5,000 yards and 34 touchdowns. He can certainly still play at a high level, even though he's getting up there in age. The offensive line is one of the league's best. And while the secondary seems to be a perpetual weakness of this team, they should be great at getting after the quarterback on defense. Guys like TJ Watt and Bud Dupree wreak havoc, and rookie Devin Bush should also be a solid contributor to this linebackers group. We all question Coach Mike Tomlin for letting his immensely talented teams play down to their competition, but I think this year he can focus on getting his team back to winning ways. After all, his .654 winning percentage with the Steelers, it's pretty good. So I predict Pittsburgh to go 9-7 and grab the AFC's number 4 seed and win this AFC North. In the AFC South, we have 4 interesting teams, all of which could definitely seem like they could compete for a playoff spot this year. And yet, it seems pretty evident to me which team's winning this division: the Colts. Coach Frank Reich and GM Chris Ballard have established a winning culture here. The team went from 1-5 to the playoffs, for crying out loud. They won 9 out of their last 10. And looking at their roster, we can start to see why. Behind a great season from quarterback Andrew Luck is a great O-line, as that issue has finally been fixed. Recent draft picks Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson, and Braden Smith have all helped there. Luck has 2 great weapons in T.Y. Hilton and tight end Eric Ebron. Ebron revived his career last year after a disappointing start with the Lions, as he caught 13 touchdowns. He had 11 touchdowns his first 4 seasons combined. The defense is a little more no-name-ish, but it could definitely turn out to be quite an underrated unit. Of course, Darius Leonard broke out with a great rookie season last year, and the addition of pass rusher Justin Houston should be a good one from this offseason. And 7 of Chris Ballard's 9 draft picks this year were spent on defense, yet most of them shouldn't be every down players. Instead, they're quality depth pieces. This is how Ballard builds his roster. He trades back in the draft and gets good contributors. He's not trying to find a superstar, although that ain't bad either, but that's how smart teams build their rosters. And that's why I think the Colts will go 12-4 and capture the AFC's number 1 seed via tiebreaker. Now, this could change if Andrew Luck is injured for a significant portion of the year, because we know he deals with injury problems. And if he is injured, I predict the Titans to win the division. We'll get to them later. But if everything goes according to plan, the Colts are winning this division. In the AFC West, I see Kansas City repeating as division champ. Now we think of the Patriots as the team that dominates the AFC for obvious reasons, but look at the Chiefs. Sure, they don't have a good playoff track record, we all know that, but they've had a winning record every year Andy Reid has coached them. They've made the playoffs 5 out of the 6 seasons he's been there, and they've won the division the last 3 seasons. There's no reason to believe they won't win it a 4th year in a row, especially not with Patrick Mahomes coming off an MVP season. And yes, Mahomes will probably drop off a bit, as defenses now have a year of film on him. But we saw all his insane physical tools last year, the no-look throws, the cannon arm, all that stuff. The Chiefs now have a stud as their franchise quarterback. He still has Travis Kelce, one of the league's best tight ends, and Tyreek Hill, even though he should probably be suspended. The league's policies are terrible, but that's a different subject. The running game might be a little worse off without Kareem Hunt, but with Mahomes behind center, it will be alright. Besides, Andy Reid is such a good offensive coach that Damian Williams and Carlos Hyde will probably do just fine in his system. Speaking of coaching, the Chiefs hired Steve Spagnuolo as defensive coordinator to hopefully improve the main weakness of their team last year. However, the Chiefs lost a lot of key pieces on defense like Dee Ford, Eric Berry, and Justin Houston. They did, however, add Tyrann Mathieu and paid up some big bucks for pass rusher Frank Clark. So hopefully with a good holding the 18-0 Patriots to 14 points in the Super Bowl defensive coordinator like Steve Spagnuolo can help this defense out. In any case, I think the Chiefs will go 11-5 and get the number 3 seed. A bit of a drop-off from last year, just because I'm not sure if Mahomes will literally carry his teams to victories like he did in 2018. So as for the 2 wild cards, I see the Tennessee Titans coming out with the number 5 seed. Tennessee has gone through 3 straight 9-7 seasons, so they have a culture of winning established there, just not one of dominance per se like the Patriots. I kind of expect that to continue this year, but with some slight improvements, especially on offense. Last year they had the 3rd-ranked scoring defense in the NFL, which flew completely under the radar thanks to their 27th-ranked scoring offense. So it's obvious which side of the ball the Titans need to make improvements, and I think they did just that. They added slot receiver Adam Humphries and rookie A.J. Brown to a receiving core that already has Corey Davis. I think the goal for Davis this year is definitely a 1,000-yard season. That's kind of what you expect from a receiver you take at number 5 overall. The Titans also added Roger Saffold to an already pretty good O-line. And here's an under-the-radar move, getting Ryan Tannehill as backup to Marcus Mariota. Now, Tannehill could never quite establish himself as a franchise QB with the Dolphins, but he's probably got to be one of the best backups in the league now, and that means something considering Mariota's injury problems. On defense, like I said, they're good. They have one of the league's better secondaries with Logan Ryan, Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson, and Pro Bowl safety Kevin Byard. And the pass rush also got a nice boost with the addition of veteran Cameron Wake. Head coach Mike Vrabel played linebacker in the NFL, and he is a defensive coach. This Tennessee defense will once again be a good unit this year. It's just up to the offense to step it up. I think they will, and they'll go 10-6 on the road to getting that number 5 seed. And as for the second wild card and the final number 6 seed, yes, I'll buy into the hype a little bit. The Cleveland Browns will end their playoff drought. Now, I still think there's cause for concern with this team, and I think they could easily boom or bust. That's kind of why I'm choosing the middle ground here, that they'll just sneak into the playoffs. So we all know Baker Mayfield had a tremendous rookie season last year, and he has hopefully ended the Browns' long stretch of terribleness at the quarterback position. He's talented, all right, but his leadership is really what the Browns were missing. He's just a charismatic guy that the players love to play for. Say what you want about all his stupid comments and actions off the field, but his leadership on the field is something the Browns were missing for 20 plus years. Behind Mayfield is a stacked running back group that includes Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Well, after his suspension at least. I mentioned Duke Johnson here, and they traded him, so never mind about that. And of course, the blockbuster trade for Odell Beckham will give Mayfield a great weapon on offense to go along with Jarvis Landry. David Njoku is at tight end too, so really this team has a ton of young talent. Now the O-line is where I get a little concerned, especially at the tackle position. And reliable guard Kevin Zeitler was also traded to the Giants as part of the OBJ trade. But I still think the Browns' offense should be a good unit in 2019. The defense also has a ton of young talent, like Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, and rookie Greedy Williams. Veterans Sheldon Richardson and Olivier Vernon were also added to the D-line this offseason, so I like the moves they're making there. Now, I don't know how Freddie Kitchens will fare as head coach, considering he was just a running backs coach this time last year. However, I think him clicking with Baker Mayfield is really what matters here. I'll pick the Browns to go 9-7 and capture the number 6 seed. And now, a quick recap of the other 10 AFC teams and why I don't have them making the playoffs. Baltimore Ravens, I have you guys going 7-9. I'm just not sure about Lamar Jackson's accuracy. We all know he's a great runner, but he really needs to develop as a passer. Combine that with the defense losing pieces, the Steelers probably rebounding, the Browns probably improving, and I don't have you guys making the playoffs. Sorry. Cincinnati Bengals, yeah, I have you guys going 4-12. Under notoriously cheap owner Mike Brown, you did nothing to improve your terrible defense this offseason. It's Geno Atkins and not much else. Also, Andy Dalton just doesn't play well when he hasn't had a good core around him like he did from 2011 to 2015. I mean, maybe Coach Zach Taylor will be an improvement from Marvin Lewis, though. At least you got that to hope for. Houston Texans, you guys have a franchise quarterback in Deshaun Watson, a stud number 1 receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, and a defense that is top tier when healthy. So what's the problem? The O-line, that's the problem. You got 2 rookies there that may start, but will they even be able to fit in? And I'm not quite sure if we should trust Bill O'Brien as coach at this point. We can trust him to go 8-8 though. Jacksonville Jaguars, you guys spent the big bucks on Nick Foles, but I don't buy into him as a guy who will be a 16-game starter, a franchise quarterback, so to speak. Leonard Fournette hasn't really lived up to his billing as a number 4 overall pick at running back either. I still think the defense will be good, but not 2017 level Saxonville good, where it's carrying the team to victories. We'll see maybe a slight improvement without Blake Bortles, though. 6-10. So the Buffalo Bills. Now don't get me wrong. This should be a team on the rise. I think Josh Allen will improve this year thanks to having some new weapons and an improved O-line. And the defense should be an above-average unit as well. But you're not taking the division from the Patriots. I could easily see this team as a wild card, but I have you going 8-8 and just missing out. New York Jets, honestly, similar stuff with the Bills. I expect their second-year quarterback to take a step up under offensive coach Adam Gase. I think the talent surrounding Darnold is still a little questionable. Not a great receiving core or O-line, although center Ryan Khalil coming out of retirement is kind of interesting. But Le'Veon Bell and an improved defense should lead to more wins. 8-8 it is. Miami Dolphins. Yikes. You may have lucked yourself into a franchise quarterback with Josh Rosen, but you have no talent surrounding him. We keep thinking Devontae Parker will break out a receiver. He never does. There's very few playmakers on defense. It's looking rough. And your coach was literally just a linebackers coach with the Patriots last year. 3-13, this team is driving the tanks. Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, this was a hard one. You still have one of the league's most talented rosters, but it just seemed like a Chargery thing to waste it and just miss the playoffs. Your stacked pass rush, solid offensive weapons, and Phillip Rivers as your franchise quarterback really means you should make the playoffs, but I suppose the Chargers are just the odd team out in my predictions. 8-8 it is. Oakland Raiders. Lots of interesting moves here, overpaying for tackle Trent Brown after one good year in New England, trading for ultra-talented but diva receiver Antonio Brown, and spending 3 first-round picks to address various team weaknesses. You should be better than your 4-12 season last year, but I don't think playoffs better. John Gruden will lead you to 7-9. And finally, the Denver Broncos. Look, this team has never been able to get its quarterback situation right since 2015 after Peyton Manning left, and the defense has never re-entered 2015 form either. I don't necessarily think Joe Flacco is going to fix the Broncos quarterback position, and I think by 2020 Drew Lock will be starting. Vic Fangio should be a good coaching hire, but I only have you going 6-10.